Kippo Karate Hall of Fame. My name is Paul Casey, and this is the educational video series. We are very, very happy to have today Senior Master of the Arts, Rainer Schulte, all the way from Florida, sir. It is good to have you here. We're going to ask you some serious questions, not so serious questions, and we're going to ask you what your favorite adult beverage is.
I'm extending my happy hour.
Good. So with that, let us do this. Mr. Schulte, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're here and happy you're joining us.
Rainer, let's delve into some of your background. You've been in the martial arts almost your entire life in different capacity, from different styles and systems, training and whatnot. You've been very, very well recognized in your accommodations for things that you've done. And I'm going to read a partial list on it. You can comment on it. So forgive me if I mispronounce a bunch. I'm going to gloss over this, but these are pretty impressive. You were with the United States Embassy in Bonn, Germany. You were also with the Consulate General in Dusseldorf, Germany. You were with Jack and Merritt, General 4-star U.S. Army, United States military representative for NATO. You were also involved in the Department of the Air Force. You were also with the commander in the United States Army in Europe and 7th Army. You've been also involved with the major of the Chief of Staff. You've had also accommodations from people like the Lieutenant Governor George Ryan, the Illinois Governor James Thompson, the Congress of the United States on the Committee of Foreign Affairs. And you've also been receiving accommodations and recognition from people like United States Marine Corps in your combat pistol and revolver shooting. So you've got a pretty impressive record there, sir. And I'm just scratching on it. There's a lot more, you know, what you've done with other aspects. But I'm going to let you tell us about that. So, Rainer, how did you get into the martial arts?
That's a long story. I've been brought up actually fighting. You know, when I was 5 years old, I was fleeing from East Germany, got into a battle between German troops and the Russians, and all the German troops, 40 of them got killed, 2 other civilians got killed, a bunch of Russians got killed, but my wife, my mother, my sister and I, we walked away unscathed. Wow. So I've been in a lot of fights.
Did you always live in Germany?
I was living in Germany, yeah.
No, but have you always lived in Germany?
Yes.
Okay, so.
But my dad moved us around within Germany to get us into some safe places.
I see.
That was a small village that had 1 street, 1 pub, and no church, no gasoline station or anything. But it was just, it was a rural area and just farms.
Well, thank God you had a pub.
Yeah, it was all good. It was all good. And my family and I, we made it into the West eventually with a lot of hassles, and we survived.
You actually were behind the Iron Curtain then, I'm guessing.
At that time, yes.
What was it like living there in that during that period? I know about Germany. I've spent a lot of time there, but I don't have any appreciation because I wouldn't know what that's like.
Paul, when I started to work for the U.S. State Department, and then in 1980, because of my language skills and I could speak the lingo, the accent of East Germany, I was sent across the wall. I was working within East Germany. And let me tell you, when I see what's happening here about socialism, these people have no idea what it is like living in socialism.
I see. So, how many languages do you speak?
I speak a lot of languages. I mean,
I know you speak the law of the fists, but aside from that, yeah, what verbal ones do you speak?
I try to speak English. I was never my first language, and I still speak German, of course, and then German in a few dialects.
I see. I see.
So
In your travels. So you graduated, you went through all your schooling, I'm guessed, in Germany. Later on, when did you finally leave Germany to the West?
I dropped out of high school in 1954 and did some odd jobs. Then I went to Bremerhaven and worked as a longshoreman. Then I got a hitch on the TSS Scarbrian, and we went to Australia and to all different countries. I worked as a deckhand, as a pantryman, as a baby cook, and then I got onto the TSS New York. We were traveling from Bremerhaven, Plymouth, England to New York. And on that ship, I met my sponsor for the green card. He sponsored me to come to work at his hotel. And this is how I got to the States.
Wow. How long have you lived in the United States?
I came to the United States in 1958.
Okay, 58. And you've been here ever since.
Ever since.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now you're starting to do.
No, not ever since. Because after I started with the U.S. State Department and got my training, and then 1963, I enlisted in the armed forces, and they saw something in me, I don't know what, but they got me to some special training. And in 66, because of I needed security clearances, they said, you got to be a citizen. So in 66, I became a citizen.
I see.
And,
what kind of training did you go through that through the military that you later could use or apply to your martial arts training?
All right. What I can tell you is I went to Camp Pendleton.
Diapers are an amateur move.
Excuse me, whoever your microphone is, you have to mute it, please.
So I'm on?
Yeah, yes, you are, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Camp Pendleton, Langley, and Quantico, and Los Angeles, and I did some special training.
Was this all related to special forces, or with a different branch of the Justice Department? Sorry to ask.
Branches. They were all
They're all related.
The three-letter.
Okay. Yes. Not TWA either. Okay, we
yeah,
got it.
And then they sent me to Germany to start in counterterrorism.
I see.
Working out of Germany within Europe and the Middle East. And so 1991, I happened to be on Khyber Pass in Pakistan, Afghanistan, when Desert Storm started. And I had to make it back to back home. And it was a rough ride going.
Would you be called would you be actually called a contractor? Is that what it'd be?
I became a contractor after
okay, that should answer a lot of questions for everybody. So let's go to your martial arts. So you're in America. You're here, and you start to get the interest in a form of the martial arts. What was the first martial arts that you trained outside of military?
I did not. I wanted to learn martial arts because I've seen a fight where a little guy just flattened a big guy, and I asked him how to do that. He said martial arts. So I went to a Taekwondo school, and they were kicking the ceiling. I said I could never do that. And I went to a Schulte school, and I said, no, that's too dull for me. So I stopped by at the West LA school at Parker's, and I happened to run into Danny Nasano. And I said, what do you do here? He said, we do self-defense. And he showed me a few self-defense techniques. And I said, I can learn that.
How much time did you spend with Nasano?
On and off several times, but he was not my instructor.
Who was your instructor then? Who was your instructor?
Paul Dalton.
Okay. And how long were you with him?
For a number of years. I don't know how long. Because in West LA, the instructor changed all the time. So we never knew who we got the next training session. So there were some real badasses and some real nice guys. Oh, Tom Blika was one of them. Not badass.
He was one of the nice guys or the badasses?
Pardon?
He was one of the nice guys or the badasses?
He was a nice guy. Yeah, he was
Good.
not one of the badasses.
Okay.
But there were some real bad ones, and one of them, that was later on when I think I was green belt then, when we were doing freestyling, and he tried to clock me, and he put his fist through the wall and stopped in front of a next door secretary's face, and so it was fun actually.
This is actually a picture of you with Tom. It looks like Tom Kelly, Mr. Parker.
Kelly, yeah, yeah.
And you're wearing your green belt.
Yep.
That was it. And it's funny is that you look at that picture, your piping around your gi was also green.
Because
Am I right?
I was allowed to do that. Now, let me explain. Because at that time, only instructors were allowed to wear black gis.
Okay.
And I was instructor at that time. I was a green belt. So I was allowed to have a black gi and have the green piping around it.
Nice. Well, there's some pictures are in here with you and Tom in front of the crest, and then some others as well. What was it like training in West LA?
Oh, it was the greatest. It was the greatest. It was a lot of fun. It was hard work. I mean, there were a lot of ass kickers in there, and we had great times. We do more basics than anything else. Basics and fighting, and of course, then the techniques.
But let's focus on let's focus on the training for a second. So you're there, so regularly you focus mostly on basics, correct?
Correct. But let me go back. I have been in the school maybe for a week or two, and then Ed Parker walked in. I didn't know him at that time, and he looked around and he said, "I see a new face in here." He came over and he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Rainer Schulte." And he said, "That's a German name, isn't it?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Yeah, I can tell by your accent." So then he said, "Oh, my wife, Leilani, her great-great-grandparents, father, came from Germany." I said, "Oh, yeah?" "Yeah," he said, and they were connected to a printing publishing company in Germany. And he said, "Since you have connection to Germany, why don't you try to investigate a little bit?" I said, "I'll do that." So then a couple of weeks later, I had some answers, and he came in and he said, "Rainer, come to the house and talk to Leilani and tell her what you find out." And this company, Bertelsmann it's called, is still today the largest printing company in Germany. So we had a lot of interesting talks about this. And this is how I became a friend of the house of Parker.
I see.
And I had been there many, many times.
Let me ask you this. So you're going through your training and you're working with different instructors. Any of the particular instructors that stood out during that time?
Of course, Paul Dalton was the number one. And then Tom Kelly. There were too many of them. I had some names here somewhere. Okay, I can't tell right now. But there were lots of them. And everyone had a different style. And I learned from that time that we were doing Kenpo as a system. And we, as individuals, were the styles. And that we could do. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay.
I'm letting you do all the talking.
That Kenpo was, we could do Kenpo according to our physical and mental ability, since we could not do Ed Parker's Kenpo.
Why do you, wait a second, because you couldn't do Ed Parker's Kenpo. You're in an Ed Parker school.
I mean, I was half his weight, so how could I do what he does?
Oh, okay, I see.
But
Okay.
he had the system. We learned the system.
I see.
We had to adjust the system to our physical and mental ability.
How much time did you spend on, say, techniques, and how much time did you spend on, say, freestyle?
So at the beginning, we spent probably 35% of an hour on basics. Then we spent another 35% on techniques, and then the rest was freestyle.
Okay, so you're going along training there. How much time did you spend in the school?
I can't. I
Was you there
went.
like 3 times a week, 5 times a week?
Oh, when I was in Santa Monica,
Yes,
I
sir.
was there every day,
You were there every day. Okay.
every day.
When did you graduate or gravitate to becoming a teacher? Did you start to teach other belts?
When I became a green belt,
I see. Okay.
it was just before Tom Kelly came over.
I see. So you're going along, you're a green belt, and you're going up, and eventually you get to the point where you're going to test for your black belt, correct?
That was
Okay.
1971.
Okay. So in 1971, do you remember who was the testing board and who tested with you?
There was no board. There was Ed Parker.
Ah, so what did he do? Put you through the mill or what?
No, he did not. Because I have been, whenever I was back in the States, whenever I was back in West LA and came to Pasadena, I worked out in Pasadena, and I think you said that is where you seen me.
Oh yeah, I saw you there in Pasadena. Absolutely, came with your delegation, and you began ready for the internationals, which takes me to that. So now you're getting up. You're a black belt for Ed Parker. You're starting to have other students that you're teaching and bringing to, I guess, competition. How much competition did you go into the internationals? Was that when did you join or started competing at the internationals?
At the international, the only time was 1982.
Okay, 1982.
And I took in the senior black belt division, I took second place.
I see.
I was running the international on that weekend with Bridget and myself. And I had started 4 o'clock in the morning, setting up all the arenas. 32, I think we had at that time.
Right.
Nobody was helping me, but then once everything was set up, some of the guys came up. So, all right, let's go. And I said, get off, because why weren't you here when I needed your help? Now I don't need your help.
I see. And so 82 was the first year that you were involved in the organizational part of the internationals? Or was that the first time you came?
No, from I think 1979, I think I started to help Tom Kelly to run it.
I see, I see. And you did that through the years of Mr. Parker, I'm guessing,
yeah.
Through 90. Did you ever do it after that when Mrs. Parker was there?
No.
Okay,
no.
So that was it. It ceased to be
that.
No,
I started the, I spent time between Germany and Los Angeles, going back and forth for briefing and debriefing. And so in, excuse me, see, this is what I need. 1972, I started the the first Kenpo karate in Germany, which was tough. But if you wanted to use the school gymnasiums, you had to be recognized, and nobody could tell anything about. So that we have to test you to be a regular or a martial artist. I said, what are you going to test me on? I said, all right, you want to test me on short one on the left side, or what? Or 5 swords? And they started laughing. And I said, no, let's do this. You invite me to your schools. That was Kung Fu, that was Shotokan, Taekwondo. I said, I come to your school, or you come to mine or to my group, and then you can test me on a little bit of fighting. So that didn't happen. And then I got a letter from Ed Parker, and he said, Reiner, I hear you ruffling a lot of feathers over there. And I wrote back to him, I said, Mr. Parker, yes, I am, but I learned that from you.
Very good.
And California.
So now
So
you're working with, you're training in Pasadena. You're a black belt, and now you're involved with the IKKA and also the International Karate Championships. So you're done the competition. Can you talk about any of your students that went on to compete that you trained?
Christian Springer was one of the best. There were some others, but I can remember things that happened 75 years ago, but I sometimes forget what I had for lunch yesterday.
Okay, what about boxing? Because I know you had involvement with boxing, sir, and I think that would probably play into this. So tell us about that.
After Mr. Parker's passing, I said, my instructor's gone, what am I going to do? So I got into boxing and went to boxing gyms and started boxing, got involved into the boxing associations. I became a member of the AIBA, which is the International Association Amateur Boxing, and then became a member of the German Professional Boxing Association. So I was involved into boxing quite a bit, which worked fine.
Were you involved as a trainer or as a promoter?
First,
or both?
First as a student, and then as a promoter.
I see. And I guess it was a very enlightening experience.
It was, yeah. The first time I had my boxing instructor, once he showed me a few things, the three, and then, so the first time he said, okay, let's do a little sparring. And he jabbed at me and I ducked and clopped him in the midsection. He said, holy shit, where did you learn that? I said, I don't know, it's probably my martial arts experience. And he quit after that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I guess you made an impression.
Probably. But with all my memberships, the IKKA was always number one. Then I founded the IKKA Europe with the understanding that Mr. Parker would be the director or the president of it. Then going on, I was a member of the ASLET, American Society of Law Enforcement Trainers. Became a member of the International Chiefs of Police. So then, was 11 years ago, became vice president of the CKF, Chinese Karate Federation, and I have to thank Sean Kelly, because after I met Sean Kelly in 2001 when he had one of his camps, and Ed Parker Jr. called me a few times and invited me. He said, come on over. You are in Florida, come on over. So finally I said, okay, I'll come over. And I met Sean Kelly, and we were on the same page. And we've been connected ever since. And I enjoy what he's doing, and he's enjoying what I'm doing. But we are, when it comes to Kenpo, on the same page, following Ed Parker's leads.
Okay. You've had a lot of involvement in other organizations. I know that, you've been a member of the Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame. Why don't you tell us about that induction?
Wait a minute. What is that? No, I was, it was an honor to be asked. I had no idea. I have became a member of the Karate Hall of Fame, and I've been another Hall of Fame here in Florida. But then you called, and I was proud and surprised, and I said, yes, if somebody wants me there, yes, I'll be there.
Well, that's because you're chosen by your peers, and you've established that through all your contributions. Most importantly, though, the humility and the sincerity that you have brought to the martial arts over the years. So I'm begging, the question's being begged right now. In all your training, without really getting expressed, have you ever had a confrontation where you felt you used it without using it?
Yeah, a number of them. I call them verbal kenpo. So when it was a smaller problem, I said, "Come on, you don't really want to do that. Let's go have a beer. I'm paying." That sometimes diffused the situation. Another time, there were 5 of them, and I said, "All right, if you really want that, let me just tell you, the first 2 I'm going to kill. The third one probably goes to the hospital, and the other might get me. But who wants to be first?" Nobody wanted to be first. So that diffused everything.
Nice. Let's talk about Europe. Obviously, your roots are from Europe. You're from Germany. You represented Mr. Parker over there. Tell us a little bit about the European Ed Parker Karate Association tie and what you did. What was your role in that?
Now, after I started with running the club, and then I think 1979, Roy McDonald from Jersey called me, and he said, "I heard you are Mr. Parker's black belt, and you are in Germany. Would you be interested in teaching us?" I said, "Interested? If you want me over there, call me. I'll come over." Yes. And that went on from Jersey, UK, Spain, Holland, with Hans Hesselman, and even from Ireland. So I was busy traveling almost every weekend when I was not working on my real job to go to different countries in the Middle East. Then yes, I would go over there and teach what I had to offer.
Were you ever instructed? Like, I understand that, Mr. Parker's presence in Europe was in the early 60s over there through several countries and such. I was also told that you were like the uniter. You're the one that came
Not
around.
early 60s, not early 60s, no.
Okay.
Early 70s.
Okay.
Yes, so I started the whole thing, and then pictures came out where there were 5 Jersey black belts, and somebody said they're the first European black belts, and everybody attacked me on that because there were black belts, Kenpo black belts in Ireland, which, yeah, there were, but they were not IKKA black belts or the new IKKA curriculum that they were teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that all worked out fine. We had a great time, and everybody under me, had to be a member of the IKKA. They were paying, I think, $10 a year membership. And Ed Parker and I would do all the seminars for free. All they had to pay for room and board. And of course, travel, room and board. And even Mr. Parker never charged for the seminars.
I see. And how many years did that go on?
Started at 72 in Germany, and I think 1984, 85. Let's stop because I was getting too busy.
I see.
Then I had to hand Graham Lelliot. I asked him to go to Spain for me to keep teaching in Spain. Christian Springer went to Holland for me. So I was slowly backing out because, having a job like mine, I would be up on a call. Hey, I need you over here. I need you over there.
Right.
And yeah, but looking back, I did some teaching for Sidney Poitier.
Okay, so let's go this direction now. So you're in these high-profile relationships with students or clients that we would instantly recognize. So Can you tell us a little bit of the clientele that used to teach?
I can't remember all of the names, but but Sidney Poitier sticks out. He was the number one. But then I I started working for Paul McCartney for 6 months.
And how was Mr. McCartney, or Sir Paul now?
The most nicest person you'll ever want to meet. He was a gentleman. He was a sir. We traveled and in style, of course, and he always talked to us when we. Excuse me. I need this.
Yeah, take a second and get something to drink there.
I'm used to talk with these and not with my mouth that much. So, no, when we picked him up at the airport to take him to the venue, that is where he wanted to go first, to the venue to see if everybody was set up and had everything. He knew everybody. There were 86 people on the team. He knew everybody by his first name. And then a couple of times he invited me and my guys for dinner with Linda and the children. So that was an incredible man.
Any personal stories you want to share with us?
No.
Okay.
Okay, then there were things with the Kill the Golden Goose.
Yeah, we'll go there now. Let's go to that. Yeah. So you've worked with these celebrities, and you were asked to be in a movie with Ed Parker called Kill the Golden Goose in Bong Su-han. Okay.
I was not, no. It was different.
Tell us about it. Where did you film? When did you do it? What year was this?
76, I think. He said, Rainer, you got time? I said, what do you need? He said, I'm going to shoot a movie and Kill the Golden Goose. You want to take a little part in it? I said, sure, I have the time. So, yeah, I went in and we had a good time. He knocked me out a few times, but that was okay.
Where did you film it?
In the valley, San Fernando Valley.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're on the subject. Here it is. Here's a picture of you.
Oh, yeah. I was number 2.
As we can see there, doing your thing. So tell us about that scene.
The first guy, Parker didn't like. So he beat him up nicely.
Oh, so he hit him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, and that was number 2. And we had several takes on it. The director said, this is not, it's too fast. We can't see it on the camera. So we had to slow it down. But every time I got hit right across the face, bam. But it was nice.
How many days did you film that?
I was only there for 2 or 3 days. And I understand there were some love scenes in there with Ed Parker. And when they had the first showing, private showing, Leilani got very pissed off. She said, I didn't know that you went back with this girl. But he said, no, we were all dressed. So it was fun.
Did you guys spend any time with the co-star Bong Su-han?
Very little time. We talked and, the usual.
I see. Now, in the scenes that you're involved in, obviously, Mr. Parker's trying to assassinate somebody at that. He's pushing out the little lady and grabs the lab coat. Who was all involved in that fight scene?
He was the assassin.
Right.
And we were the bodyguards.
Right. So, but he was looking to kill somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And he engaged with you. I know that you were in that scene. I believe Larry Tatum was in that scene. Who else was in that scene?
A guy called Streeter. He was a Kenpo guy, but nobody else that I knew.
I see. Did you guys rehearse this scene, or was it obviously you had to rehearse it? But Mr. Parker had an idea.
No. We were just pushed into the cold water.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. So the movie actually got released in '79, And I remember that at the internationals, they're promoting it and whatnot. Did you go to the premiere when it was finally aired?
I was back at my job in Europe.
Ah, okay. Well, I was
Wait,
talking to Edmund yesterday, and he told me a little bit about being at the premiere. He said it was very interesting. And it wasn't worried so much about his dad, and his mom. It was other
yeah, right.
people,
That's what I said.
and
He
it
was
was.
not happy about that.
Well, that's the movie industry. What can you say?
Exactly.
Assassins need love too, I guess.
But there were some beautiful scenes where he stabbed this guy with a fork.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was
And
nice.
he broke the plate, and your muscles are all between your ears. There's some classic Parker moves, and it's funny is that later on some of that resurfaced in other projects that Mr. Parker was always thinking ahead of the curve, and he
Yeah.
brought an innovative idea that would be interesting, but at the same time, very effective, which is what he
Another
was.
very, very interesting part, I think, for you to know is Epoch and I became friends. I mean, real friends, not just match friends, real friends. When I was in West LA and when I came to the studio, uh, Larry Tatum said, Reiner, come into the office. I said, okay, what's up? He said, I just had a phone call. Your father died. And I stood there and I said, oh shit. He said, Larry said, what do you want me to do? I said, just let me go. I walked around the block. I came back and I said, okay, I'm okay. So he said, you want me to make arrangements so you can fly back? I said, no, you don't have to. I'm not flying back. He said, no. I said, no. Flying back now is not going to help my dad. What I couldn't do him while he was alive, I cannot do now to bring him to the grave. By the same token, when Ed Parker died, I was in Pakistan, so I couldn't come back here. I would have, but that I hadn't done. And with the many travels with Ed Parker and myself outside of Kenpo, we traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We spent time in Germany and Switzerland on business. So there were some interesting, funny scenes when I picked him up at the Frankfurt airport and I was driving a BMW and we were on the Autobahn, no speed limit. So I was hitting 90 miles an hour and he was sitting like, by the time I hit 120 miles an hour, he was sound asleep.
Have you ever driven with Mr. Parker? Have you ever ridden with Mr. Parker?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I was like,
Any funny stories you want to share with us in that?
yeah. I have
Tell us about Mr. Parker's sense of humor for those that didn't get a chance to meet him.
Oh, it was great. It was great. He could be very, very funny. And so he could be very serious too. And one thing he loved, there was shoes. Did you know that?
No, but tell us about it.
When we were traveling everywhere we went, like Naples or Zurich, he wanted to go to shoe stores and wanted to buy shoes. And I think he had about 120 pairs of shoes at home. And
they were all black.
And they were all black. And we shouldn't say that now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
just a few weeks before he passed, he had someone come in and polish all of his shoes.
Really?
Really.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, yeah.
Why don't we take 10 seconds here? Why don't you take a drink of water? Okay, or drink.
No, I'm going to drink it. Okay. I haven't talked that much in a long, long time.
Well, don't worry. We're just getting started, sir. So
No, just
anyway, so let's move on to finally it's now present day and you're starting to decide you want to slow down. Is that what it was? You decided how did you left, I guess, working for the consulate or the United States government? And what are you doing now with your life?
that's very difficult to explain. I have a nice house. Next, I bought another house as a guest house because I didn't like the tenants that were in there, so I had to kick them out. And I have about an acre and a half, and I live in the city actually, and I take care of my lawn. I take care of everything around here. And I have good friends, neighbors. Every afternoon, they come over at about 4 o'clock, and we have happy hour.
And your favorite adult beverage is?
Coors Light.
Coors Light.
I mean, Coors Light should pay me by now.
I guess is that a Cobra Kai kind of favorite drink or what?
It's light.
The reason I say that, my son watches the new TV show on YouTube, and he notices that Johnny likes to drink the Coors. He calls it the Cobra Kai beer. So are you still working out? What are you doing now? Are you still training?
No, I haven't been working out because the gym is closed.
I see. But before it closed, what was your regimen? Would you go there like regularly, or what was you doing?
3 times a week for 1 hour.
I see. Was that basically just physical exercise, or would you actually work out with the bags, or what would you try to do?
No, it was cardio. It was tricep, bicep, and chest.
I see. You know, it's funny.
Back.
It's funny for those of you that don't know Reiner. He has always been an incredible physical condition. I mean, there are numerous photos of this man's physique and his abilities. And even now, if you spend some quality time with you, you still take great care of yourself. And you're now 80 years old, correct?
81.
81. And it's amazing, the energy and flexibility and things that you share when we talk. So now you're involved with the CKF. And what are your duties with them?
I'm the vice president, and I take care of business, the business end. Bridget is secretary.
I see.
So we run the financial thing. And whenever they have a camp or now we call it Zen of Kenpo. So it's not always the camps, not just teaching. We have the people show what they do with their Kenpo within the system. And Zen, what does Zen mean? Like being at the moment. This is our moment. And the moment can be a second or a lifetime. So we are here, and everybody just shows what they have done within a certain techniques.
I see. Do you go on seminars with them by request, or you just limit yourself to local activities, or what do you do?
No, they ask me, they call me, hey, we're here doing a seminar, or can you come over and not necessarily to teach, or not to teach, to show what you do. See, we share at these Zen of Kenpo, we share, we don't teach like that.
Do you follow the Ed Parker curriculum still?
100%.
And is that the 32 techniques, the 24, 16? What do you do?
32.
You know the 32 system.
That's what I've learned, and that is what it should be. I believe that bringing it down to 24, 16, or even 12 is a money-making proposition for the schools. And I can't scold them for that. Everybody wants to make money.
Sure. Have you found that during this time, the quarantine has really been, obviously it's been very disruptive. to schools because that is a livelihood, and they're on a very thin budget anyway. What are you doing to help some of these schools, or are you giving them guidance, or what can you share with us to help them so they can survive?
I just tell them, hang in there and do your thing. If you can do it online, do it online. Just keep your student body with you. Just tell them, I'll be back. And
Okay.
if, I told everybody, if you need my help, I'll be there for you.
Okay, let's go down this. Now I'm going to open up the microphones and start having people say hello, ask you some questions, Reiner, and we'll see how that goes. Let's see if we can keep the questions, maybe one or two with a follow-up if that's the case, so that Reiner can get through them, and we'll relate the questions to what he has talked about today. And so with that, no further ado, let's start off very quickly. Tony Capone, how are you? Say hello to Reiner Schulte. Are you there?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, wasn't sure if I unmuted it right. Yeah, I've known, I met Reiner in 2001 when he first came to Mr. Kelly's camp. If I had to ask a question to him, I would ask him, how does he rate today's Kempoists? And the reason I ask that is because we seem to have a lot of Kempoists out there that are very well versed in how the system works and what matches this and what goes with that, and family groupings and all kinds of good stuff like that. The problem is a lot of them can't seem to find a way to fight their way out of a paper bag. And I was just wondering how he would compare the old guys to the new guys. Is there any hope for the new guys? Listen, I like the whole academic thing. I study it myself. I do that. But I think sooner or later, you got to get on the floor and do some sparring and do some fighting and do some, push it to the limits and see what you can do. And I was just wondering what Mr. Schulte's thoughts were on that, because I know he's probably seen both worlds where guys can explain very well but can't do Kempo. They're doing Kempo, but they're not fighting with their art. Anyway, that was just wondering what his thoughts were on that.
Thank you, Tony.
It's so good to see you. And you know what I think about you. You are one of the toughest SOB I've seen in a long, long time. If anybody I wouldn't want to meet in the street, it'd be you. And with you teaching, I think Kenpo is on its right track. And somebody said there's two types. No, there's more than two types of Kenpo. There's good, no, there's very good. There's good, there's bad, and there's downright shitty. And it depends on us, you, for instance, or people like you, to teach the way Kenpo we learned. And you learned good Kenpo. I mean, you got everything Kenpo needs. But most of all, what I like about Kenpo is fighting. I mean, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I just love to fight. So no, you're on the right track, and I believe Kenpo still has a future.
I enjoy Tony is one of my favorite guys when I'm down in Florida. You know what you get with Tony? It's the real deal. But the beard thing, Tony, what is this? What is going on?
COVID-19.
Yeah, it just aged the shit out of me. Well, I figured Mr. Schulte has got a great beard. I'm trying to
see him, Lord. No, Tony's very proficient, very great attitude.
Hey, let me just with Tony. We were at in Lake Mary, and I showed a technique on him, and his neck cracked, and he said, "Oh, that was an adjustment." And I said, "And I'm not going to charge you for it."
You're funny. Tony, it's good to see you, brother. Stay with us every time. It's good to see you.
Same here, sir.
Okay, moving on. All the way from Spain, Lorenzo, how are you, sir? I'm going to unmute you. And why don't you say hello to Senior Master of the Arts, Schulte.
Hello. Here in Spain is the night. is 1 in the morning. So nice to meet you, Mr. Schulte. Only one thing. You can explain some history about your first time in Spain. What the people or what name the people that you meet in this history?
Be happy to, but it would take a long time to tell you the whole story. But to make it short, yes, I heard from Kenpo in Spain, and someone, I forget the name, he said he was a friend of Ed Parker's, and he was a black belt of Ed Parker's. So I contacted Ed Parker, and he said, never heard of him. I don't know him. So I said, sorry, my friend, you are not real. If you would have called me and said, come on over, I want to learn Kenpo, I would have said yes. But then Luis Gonzalez Lopez called. And that is when we started Kenpo in Spain. And Luis Gonzalez Lopez was a good student, and he had some good students. And it expanded nicely. And I spent a lot of time, good time, in Spain, and mostly Madrid, and it was always great. So yes, and what I've been hearing is you are doing a good job over there.
Lorenzo, thank you so very much. We really appreciate you staying up so late to take part in this. It's really important. We look forward to see you in the near future. Hopefully we'll be able to come over there and visit you. Be safe, sir. All righty?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, moving right along. Let us go and introduce another few people that I know that are here that would love to be involved with this conversation. So let's go down and talk to one of my favorite guys, Robert Smiley Temple, one of the greats of Kempo, an amazing competitor, was inducted last year into the Kempo Hall of Fame. Robert, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Say hello to Senior Master Art Schulte.
Well, hello, sir. I haven't had the pleasure to meet you in person. I'm sure I met you at, seen you at one of the tournaments at the internationals back in the 80s and 70s. But I just love hearing what you have to say and your history. And my question is, what keeps you training?
Ed Parker. No, it's just me. I don't know if it's in my genes or what, but I've always been busy doing things, never let others do it for me. And before I go on, it's great to see you. And I don't remember that we met, but it's my loss that we haven't met, because I heard a lot about you.
Thank you, Robert. God bless you, brother. It's good to see your voice and see you. One of the nicest men you're ever going to meet. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew, I'm going to unmute you right now. Please say hello to Reiner.
Hello, sir. I'm Matt Coles. I'm a Kempo practitioner from Spokane, Washington, of the Jim Mitchell lineage.
Okay.
What is your question, sir?
Oh, I actually don't have a question. I was just waving to Mr. Temple.
That's nice of you. Thank you.
It's okay with us at this point. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to say some things to to our guest and all that. So let's move right on to Greg. Greg Hildebrand, are you there? Greg.
Hello,
Greg.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Say hello to Mr. Schulte.
Hello, Master Schulte. How are you, sir? I've never had the pleasure of meeting you, but I've followed you a great length and admiration for many, many decades in Kempo Karate. I apologize, my camera is not working on my laptop, and my mic is a bit sketchy, so it breaks up. But I have no questions, just admiration, and thank you for letting me be a part of this Zoom meeting, Mr. Casey and Mr. Schulte, sir.
How is the weather up where you're at?
Over here, it's just windy but bright.
Well, thank you for being a part. You're always welcome to join us. You know, this is an educational video choice, so people can have a time with these seniors and also Hall of Fame members. Let's move on to Reuben. Reuben, are you there, buddy? Can you say hello? Senior Master of the Arts, Reiner Schulte.
Hello, Mr. Schulte. How are you?
Hello, Ruben. Good to see you.
Glad to see you. Well, thank you everything for your history and staying with Mr. Parker and keeping Kempo alive the way you've been doing. Thank you so much. I like your
My
stories.
pleasure. It was a great time.
Do you have any
Oh, yeah.
questions for him, sir?
No, just thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. Ruben is a longtime Pasadena student. I remember when he was a little guy. He ain't so little anymore. And Ruben is also a testimony to true perseverance and love for his fellow men and also for believing his faith. And being out of Alaska, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, would tell you more. He's one of my favorite guys. What can I say? It's great to see you, Ruben. Hear from you again. Stay in touch, my friend. It's always, you're always welcome to be here. Let's go on down to
Thank
some
you,
of
Paul.
our other. You're welcome. Let's go down and see some of the other people that we have here, and I'm going to jump on it right now. Todd Durgan, how you doing, Todd? Can you hear me? Todd, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you
Hi,
say hello
Master
to
Rainer.
Senior Master of the Arts, Reiner Schulte? Todd, ask
Hello,
some
Mr.
questions.
Schulte. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thank you.
It's good to see you on here. We have met a couple of times, and it's okay if you don't remember. We were at the the Hall of Fame 2018, I think we were there. It was a pleasure to meet you. But I actually do have a question.
Thank you.
It's more of a curiosity because I've seen a lot of these now with a lot of the seniors and senior members and so forth. And you had a great discussion about self-defense fighting, self-defense techniques, but nowhere in there did I hear you mention any value or interest, not that you don't have it, in the forms and what part they may play in self-defense and freestyle and so forth.
Forms have never been my forte. I never did like them. I know they are a good training tool, and everybody should use the forms as a training tool. But when it comes to self-defense and fighting, the forms don't help you. The techniques within the form will help you, but only if you use them according to your own physical, mental ability and the environment. The environment is number one when it comes to fighting. And when you had to fight on sand, like in the Middle East, when you had to fight in the water, it's all different. Fighting is a different story whenever it happens. And you have to adjust to the environment and, of course, to your opponent, because you have to adjust your fighting according, again, to your own physical ability and what your opponent is like. You have to change your techniques according to your opponent. You cannot use the same technique on every opponent that you have.
Understood. And just to be fair, I'm not super big on forms either. I just thought it was a curiosity that I hadn't heard anything mentioned. Thank you very much for your time here. And again, to you, Mr. Casey, excellent job as always.
Oh, Todd, Todd's one of the finer academics of the system. I mean, his web of knowledge and his diagrams. I mean, he is just. We'll be having him on very shortly to discuss all that, and I am looking forward to that. Todd, thank you. Every week comes in with something really pertinent to the discussion, and it makes it fun. So let's move on to some other people. One of my favorites here is a individual that I've known for many years, and he was asked by Reiner to actually make the introduction for Reiner's induction into the Kempo Karate Hall of Fame. Let's introduce Zach Carter. Zach, say hello to Senior Master of the Arts, Schulte.
How you doing, Mr. Schulte? It's great to see you. really enjoyed listening to your interview. And I guess I do have a question. I kind of probably know what the answer is, but you've been around Kempo a long time. What do you see is the biggest difference between Kempo of 20, 30, 40 years ago as opposed to practitioners today? What do you see? Is there anything lacking? Is there anything more we can do? What would you suppose on that?
Zach, good to see you.
Nice.
We've had many talks at the hotel about different things. And yeah, the difference is that times have changed. People have changed. Back in the days, in the 60s, you had a fight and then you knocked each other out and then you said, hey, good job, let's have a beer. A little later, they started out and pulled a knife. And then they pulled a gun. And now it's even worse. So times have changed, and our attitude towards fighting has to change along with the times. So what we could do back then, we cannot do anymore now.
Give us an example, sir. Can you give us an example?
Oh, today, if you walk into the Walmart and you go down the wrong way and you said, sir, am I going the wrong way or are you going the wrong way? He pulls a gun and shoots you. So you have to be more careful of what you say and do, and you have to be more attentive to other people.
Any follow up there, Zach?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's go to a couple of other people that are watching. I don't have names because it doesn't come up that way, but let's go with this. We have somebody from Maryland, and it looks like Kempo Karate. Is that Mr. Rebello? I'm not sure. Hello.
Hello.
I've unmuted the. It looks like it's Maryland Kempo Karate, but if I'm wrong, please set me straight. Hello, somebody there? I think we lost him, so we'll move on. I apologize for that, Reiner. Let's go down to Dennis Knatzer. Dennis Knatzer, you're on with the Senior Master of the Arts, Reiner Schulte.
Hey, Reiner, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good, and from what I've been hearing and reading, I hope you feeling better or getting better.
That's it. It's an issue. I've had some issues with my left hip. I went in for a regular hip surgery, and
we've known each other for a long time.
Are you still there, Dennis? We seem to have lost him.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Are you? If jump back in any time.
Are you there?
Yes, sir. We're back here. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I met. I think I met Mr. Schulte in 1985, 86. I was over there with Skip and Lee Wedlake.
Very possible. Yeah. I
yeah, we went over there and saw you then, and so I've talked to Mr. Kelly about you. When he was alive. Several times. So, because I saw that, old picture with you with a green belt, hanging out with Tom Kelly, and he was, of course, good friends of mine. But it's good to see you're doing well, and you don't look different today than you did in '85.
Hey, thank you. It's just years.
Oh well, that happens to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
right.
It's all good. It's all good. So glad to hear some of the stories and stuff, and have you on.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate your input and whatnot. So with that, I am going to do one last thing, and that's going to unmute everybody's mic. I'm going to go to a gallery view of this so that everybody can see everybody. And this is the last bit of our communication, our meeting here with Reiner. First of all, Reiner, I want to say thank you. truly, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, to share some personal insights. What a wonderful man. You're a genuine human being. You're truly an asset to Kempo. You've given a lot. We are honored to have you as a member of the Kempo Hall of Fame. And I look forward to future gatherings with you and seeing you. So with that, everybody, it's your chance to say something to Mr. Schulte before we go. So Todd, then Tony, Zach, Matthew, Dennis, Rodolfo is here all the way from Chile. Hello, Rodolfo. How are you, sir? Lorenzo, Greg, Ruben, Robert, and our friends from Kempo. Everybody is here. So say a few words to Mr. Schulte before we say goodbye.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You look good too.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Schulte, for your time. Greatly appreciate the stories and the insight.
Thank you very much, you all. I enjoyed this evening tremendously. Good to seeing you all.
Okay,
Oh,
ladies
thank
and
you.
gentlemen, thank you very much on behalf of the Kempo Karate Hall of Fame. Paul Casey, we look forward to seeing you at our next Zoom meeting. Be safe, take care, and have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.